Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with Immigration Attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular video, we're talking about humanitarian reinstatements. Now, what exactly are they, when do they come into effect, and how will it affect you? Well, let me give you an example. Sometimes that's the best way to jump on board with what's going on. Let's say that your father petitions you 15 years ago. And let's further say you're from, for example, the Philippines or China or India, a country where the visa waiting lists are a long time. Let's say that you're over 21 and that the visa number would become current in about another 4 or 5 years, give or take. And let's say that, unfortunately, last year your father passed away. What happens under the law is once that occurs, once the petitioner dies, essentially so does the petition. It no longer exists. And what happens is, immigration doesn't know that your father died, so when the visa number becomes current, they send you off a letter from the National Visa Center saying, we're ready to begin processing or final processing of the visa. You get all excited and you think, wow, this is great. I'm finally going to be able to go to the United States. You do all the processing, pay all the fees, and then you end up at the interview. And then the question comes out, where's your father? And you say, oh, my father died last year. The interview then immediately ends and they say, sorry, this petition is gone. Nothing more we can do. And shows you where the door is. And you'd get no refund of your money. You get no consideration. You're just shown the door. And all those years of waiting were for nothing. Now the question is, if that happens, what can you do? Well, they actually have what is known as a humanitarian reinstatement. And essentially, the two words, humanitarian reinstatement, describe exactly what it does. For humanitarian reasons, they will reinstate or basically put back on track the I-130, which is the petition, that, for example, your father filed for you, and you will then essentially be able to go forward under the, fictitious belief, essentially, that your father's still alive, and when the visa number becomes current, you can process in. So it essentially brings back to life the petition. It keeps the old priority date, and you're able to go forward. So it's a great legal tool that can be used if done properly. Now here's the problem though. A lot of people think that with the humanitarian reinstatement, all they need to do is find a substitute sponsor, fill out a couple forms, send it in, and boom, automatically it's going to be reinstated. And that is far from the truth. The immigration has a very large discretion on whether to approve or deny a humanitarian reinstatement. And in fact, a lot of humanitarian reinstatements do get denied because they don't show the proper hardship, they don't show all the elements that are needed to basically show that the district director or an agent of the district director should approve the humanitarian reinstatement. Essentially, when my firm prepares these types of reinstatements, we do the attorney cover letter, we have declarations, affidavits. Many times we will contact the psychologist to interview the beneficiary and show all the hardship through a professional opinion. We attach exhibits and all kinds of information regarding relatives in the U.S., health conditions, medical conditions, education, benefits, all kinds of reasons that we argue that a humanitarian reinstatement should be approved. So if the belief, or if you think that it's just pro forma filling out a couple papers and boom, it gets granted, that is not true. Like most other petitions, the immigration does have the discretion to say yes or no. Now, once the humanitarian reinstatement is filed at the proper governmental entity, it will take anywhere between 3 months and a year to get the decision. But the great thing is that if it's approved, then if this type of petition would allow derivative beneficiaries such as spouse and unmarried children under 21 to also immigrate under following to join petitions, then one humanitarian reinstatement will be able to essentially benefit an entire family. Now keep in mind though that if you have, for example, let's say a father petitioned 4 kids, um, and each of those kids has a spouse and 3 other kids, grandkids, and the father dies. Well, what I'm saying is that let's say you file a humanitarian reinstatement for one of the kids, then the spouse and children can come along, and immigrate when the visa number is current, or if it's already current, when the humanitarian reinstatement is then approved. However, if there were 4 kids that were petitioned by the father and the father died, then 4 humanitarian reinstatements must be filed and 4 humanitarian reinstatements must be approved in order to go forward. Now, given what I'm telling you, the humanitarian reinstatement essentially applies for all the different kinds of I-130s and the different preference petitions. I do have another video on widow petitions because when the sponsor or the petitioner, being the U.S. citizen, has filed the I-130 and dies, then the spouse, not only can go forward with a humanitarian reinstatement, which is actually harder, but can do the widow petition. So that's how that would work. Now, once the humanitarian reinstatement is approved, assuming it is, then if you're in the U.S., you can file for adjustment of status if either you qualify under one of the provisions or are under 245I. There's different ways. Or if you're outside the United States, then you go through with the consulate processing, and again, your family members will go forward with the following to join. Jurisdictionally speaking, the district director overseeing the I-130 is the particular person that would have the authority to say yes or no to a humanitarian reinstatement. Um, if you would like to have my office give you a consultation on this matter, let me know. We've had a few good humanitarian reinstatements approved. It's a great thing. It happens a lot from the countries where the visa number takes a long time to become current. So again, if you're in India, China, Philippines, Mexico, then it naturally happens more because it takes a lot longer and years longer for the visa number to become current. So don't despair if your petitioner has died and that you're never going to be able to come to the U.S. or never going to be able to obtain legal status. The humanitarian reinstatement is a great way to go, and if it's done properly, you have a reasonable chance of success. Now, people say, well, what's the chance of success and do you guarantee it? Well, obviously, I can't guarantee success because I don't know what's in the mind of the immigration official reading the humanitarian reinstatement. However, I can tell you that I know what they're looking for. We put together as complete as a petition as possible, and if it's successful, it's sure going to make a family happy where they don't have to be petitioned again, wait another 20 years, and maybe the same thing's going to happen again. So, look over the video and give me a call or email if you have questions. Thank you. More on the coming videos.